Hello students, welcome back to my online class. Today we'll be discussing the basic Harris-Todaro migration model of economic development. To start with, as explained earlier, one of the important theory that explains the development process of many of the developing countries, particularly in the 50s and 60s, happens to be the structural transformation theory of economic development. This theory essentially explains the role of transfer of labor from low productive sector to high productive sector in developing countries. When contextualized to the dualistic nature of many of the developing countries, this theory, when put in terms of a development practice, emerges as a powerful tool to explain and suggest the implications for economic development in such developing countries. And today we are here to analyze one such important theory in the context of migration, and that also relates to economic development, and that is the Harris-Todaro model of migration and economic development. Let's analyze this theory in the next couple of minutes in terms of number of slides. Let's bring the Lewis model as a prelude. This dualistic model explains that in labor surplus developing countries, surplus labor from the rural agricultural sector would continue to migrate to the urban manufacturing sector as long as there exists surplus labor in the rural agricultural sector, and also as long as the premium wage rate in the manufacturing sector remains constant. Once the surplus labor gets transferred to the urban manufacturing sector, additional amounts of labor from the rural agricultural sector can only be transferred to the urban manufacturing sector, provided there is an increase in the wage rate in the urban manufacturing sector. It's obvious from the Lewis model that all the surplus workers in the rural agricultural sector, when they migrate to the urban manufacturing sector, would get full employment in the urban manufacturing sector. However, actual development practice in many of the developing countries in late 50s and 60s has shown that labor from the rural sector has continued to migrate to the urban sector even if there exists urban unemployment and urban underemployment. This development has put a question mark on the relevance and validity of the Lewis model. It is against this backdrop Harris-Todaro model explains this kind of an inconsistent relationship between increased rural-urban migration and urban unemployment and underemployment. Now let's look at some of the postulations of this model. Harris and Todaro explain that rural-urban migration in a situation of presence of unemployment in the urban space is very much rational decision, and this rationality of the decision, or the economic rationality of the decision, is explained in the form of expected income in the urban sector rather than actual earnings in this sector. To be more specific, Harris and Todaro say that any present or future migrant, when he or she would migrate to the urban manufacturing sector, in a situation of for presence of unemployment or underemployment in the urban sector would always evaluate the expected incomes over a time horizon and compare it with the prevailing average rural income. And if the expected income exceeds the prevailing average income in the rural sector, then he would be interested to migrate from the rural sector to the urban sector. Now let's build up the Harris-Todaro model. This model basically provides an unemployment equilibrium between expected income in the urban manufacturing sector and the present average income in the rural agriculture sector as against the traditional free market rural urban wage equalization neoclassical model. Now to explain Harris-Todaro model, we have to start with this basic neoclassical free market rural urban wage equalization model. Let's do it in the next slide. The diagram in this slide explains the process of wage equalization in a two-sector economy under the neoclassical free market wage equalization model. As you can see here, there are two sectors. The left side of the diagram represents the rural agricultural sector and the right side of the diagram represents the modern manufacturing sector. The red curve, that is AA dash, is the demand for labor curve in agriculture, and similarly the green curve, that is MM dash, is the demand for labor curve in manufacturing sector. This red curve, that is AA dash, as you can see, it slopes downwards from left to right, implying thereby that as in the process of production in the agriculture sector, more and more quantities of laborers are employed, the marginal productivity of labor in agriculture declines. Similarly, the green curve MM dash in the manufacturing sector also shows the falling marginal productivity of labor in the manufacturing sector. Both the curves intersect at point E and in the process determine the equilibrium wage rates in the agriculture sector and also in the manufacturing sector. The equilibrium wage rate that's there in the agriculture sector happens to be WA star, and the equilibrium wage rate in the manufacturing sector happens to be WM star. And as you can see, both the wage rates are equal in both the sectors. And this equalization process of equilibrium also leads to what you call determination of the quantity of labor employed in agriculture and so also in the manufacturing sector. The amount of labor engaged in manufacturing sector happens to be OA LA star, and the amount of labor employed in the manufacturing sector happens to be OM LM star. And as you can see, there is no question of unemployment in this model. Now to continue, the wage rate in the urban manufacturing sector is institutionally determined and fixed at WM bar. Corresponding to this wage rate, the amount of labor that's employed in manufacturing sector happens to be OMLM only. And assuming that the wage rate in the rural rural agriculture sector is flexible and the rest of the workers, that is OALM, are to be employed in the agriculture sector, then the wage rate that becomes operational in the agriculture sector happens to be WA double star. And corresponding to that, as I have said earlier, OALM amount of workers are engaged in agriculture. Now, the urban rural wage gap, that is WM bar and WA double star, is huge. This huge wage gap will encourage workers from the rural agricultural sector to migrate to the urban manufacturing sector. The workers from the rural agricultural sector would like to take a chance. The decision of the workers in the rural agricultural sector to migrate to the urban manufacturing sector depends on the expected income in the urban manufacturing sector as against the prevailing average income in the agricultural sector. Now, this expected income in the manufacturing sector consists of two components. One is the probability of getting a job in the manufacturing sector, and the other one is the prevailing wage rate in the urban manufacturing sector. With the migration of more and more workers from the rural agricultural sector to the modern manufacturing sector, the wage rate in the rural agriculture sector will rise, and so also urban unemployment and the size of the labor force. But workers from the rural sector would continue to migrate to the urban manufacturing sector as long as the expected income in the urban manufacturing sector remains more than the income in the rural sector. Now, the unemployment equilibrium is attained at points where the wage rate in agriculture, that's WA, equals the expected income in the manufacturing sector in the urban space. This equilibrium condition can provide for a set of rural wage rates and rural urban settlement patterns that would make workers indifferent between being in the rural or urban sectors. The locus of all these equilibrium points is represented by the blue dotted dashed line in this figure. However, the final unemployment equilibrium is attained at a point, that's Z, where the blue dotted line intersects the demand curve for agriculture labor. In this slide, at point J, any present or potential migrant worker from the rural agricultural sector will be indifferent between job locations. OALA workers now are engaged in the rural agriculture sector, and OMLM workers are now engaged in the manufacturing sector in the urban economy. The remaining workers, that is LALM, are either unemployed or employed in the urban informal sector. Let's sum up our discussions and find out some important deductions. Firstly, the decision of a worker in the rural agricultural sector to migrate to urban formal, that's manufacturing sector, in a situation of urban unemployment and underemployment is primarily based on economic rationale. Secondly, this economic rationale is expressed in terms of expected income from the urban formal sector evaluated against the actual earnings in the rural agricultural sector. And thirdly, the expected income in the urban sector is a function of two variables. Number one, the probability of getting an employment in the urban formal manufacturing sector, and secondly, the urban formal sector institutionally determined wage rate. Fourth, the probability of getting an urban formal sector job is directly related to the urban formal sector employment rate and therefore indirectly related to the urban formal sector unemployment rate. Fifth, high rates of urban unemployment in developing countries are reflective of the growing structural imbalances in the economic opportunity space between the rural and urban sectors. And sixth, this model, that is Harris-Todaro model of migration, also explains the economic rationale of the genesis and presence of the urban informal sector in the economy of developing countries of the world. Now let's look at some of the important policy implications that we can derive based on this model. Firstly, excessive urban bias in development practice needs to be removed. This creates private economic rationale of migrating to urban economy at huge social cost. All of us can see these days in the developing countries how the infrastructure in the urban economy in many of these countries are overstressed and there is increasing urban congestion and pollution. Second, creation of more urban formal sector job is not a solution for increased urban unemployment or underemployment. In fact, if the government tries to create more jobs in the urban sector or urban economy, then the expected income of the potential migrants in the rural economy would increase and that would lead to more of migration to the urban area. Third, programs of exclusive rural development should be encouraged to create more employment opportunities in the rural economy. That's the need of the hour. And fourth, in development practice, effective rural urban integration in terms of identification of complementariness should be the focus. In fact, the rural urban continuum needs to be properly researched and the linkages between the rural sector and the urban sector needs to be highlighted and they also need to be properly made use of to develop relevant developmental practices. So with this, students, we end up the whole discussion concerning Harris-Todaro model and its implications for economic development. I hope all of you have enjoyed this discussion or would be enjoying this discussion. Till then, goodbye, take care and stay safe.